Hi everyone, welcome back to, I think it's episode 5 of the Anything Club podcast, where we talk about anything.
Anything and everything.
Yes, so apologies in advance, I have a cold and my voice probably sounds really annoying to listen to, but I'm just going to get over it and hopefully it won't sound too terrible. This episode today is going to be all about social media and our opinions on social media. We're talking about what social media platforms we like, what ones we don't like and why, and the benefits and disadvantages to having social media, I guess.
Cool.
So the first question is, Hayley, what social media outlets do you actually use on a day-to-day basis?
Okay, so the one that I use the most is YouTube.
Yeah.
And I use YouTube probably, every single day, but multiple times a day. And I don't really tend to scroll through YouTube. I tend to have a watch list of videos I want to watch. And they're usually videos that I'm going to learn something from rather than videos that I'm entertained by. I mean, I have both in one go, but yeah, they're primarily videos that I'm looking to gain something from. And I just, whenever I have a spare minute or I'm, trying to fill time, I'll click on one and put it on, whether I'm washing up, whether I'm actively watching and listening. So YouTube is the one that I use the most. And I have Instagram and I use that quite often. That's probably the worst one in terms of scrolling for me, but we'll talk about that later, I suppose. I recently, and when I say recently, I mean in the last 2 months, have a Twitter account, which I've never had Twitter before, and I didn't like Twitter at all. And that again is very educational, but we can get onto that, what we use each one for in a minute. Do I have any others?
That's it, I think, for you.
I think that's all I have.
That's all you use anyway.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, what about you?
So YouTube is up there with my most used. I think, obviously, we've got a podcast on this channel. I don't watch the same type of videos as Hayley, but You'd
be bored stiff.
Yeah, well, I'm not as interested in what she's interested in, but I like to watch other people, and there's YouTubers that we watch together, and obviously we spend pretty much all of our time doing Hayley's channels together, because I help to produce those videos, so we're on YouTube a lot for that. And then I have Instagram, which I go on probably, I'd say, once a day. I don't really...
You're not too...
You don't see me scrolling too much on there, do you? I'm not really that interested. And then TikTok I look at in the evening when I'm in bed. TikTok, yeah. That's the only thing I do in bed, really, is that and YouTube. But other than that, I have Facebook and I have Twitter, but I don't use them.
And what about Time Hop and stuff? Is that social media?
I don't know if Time Hop counts as social media. So if you don't know, Time Hop is basically a platform that you log in with your Facebook login, your Twitter, your Instagram, and all your social medias. You log in into this one place, and then every year it will bring back memories from this day last year or this day 7 years ago, and it will just share what you posted or a picture that you posted, and it also connects to your camera roll, so it shows you pictures that you took this day last year. And I love that. I look at it every morning because I think it's so nice.
You don't tend to spend any longer than 2 minutes on it though, do you?
No, I just look at...
I'm just gonna check on my phone and just see if I have any other social media that I'm not aware of.
But yeah, I don't know whether Time Hop would count as social media. I don't know if it would, because it's not somewhere where you're sitting there comparing yourself to anyone, because it's literally your life. It's just looking back at your personal life.
I also have Goodreads, but I don't count that as social media.
And you don't go on there and write statuses and stuff,
I don't do anything on that. Okay, cool. So, you said that you use YouTube the most. Mm-hmm. Give
why?
Me... No, not why. How long each day would you estimate?
Oh my gosh.
That you use
Too long.
YouTube? I'll be honest.
Well, the thing is, in our flat, we have the TV... Every time the TV's on, it's pretty much on YouTube.
As a go-to. We don't have a TV license, so we don't really watch TV.
Yeah. So when we're just in bed or just chilling, usually YouTube is on some way or another. Or we're on YouTube scheduling a video or finding ideas for videos, or...
I absorb a lot of content on YouTube.
You do, yeah. And when I'm not doing that, I'm watching YouTube, the people that I have on my subscriptions. It just feels like all the time. So a lot of time. And also, I sometimes struggle to sleep, so I tend to put a YouTube video on and just put it on my bedside table and just listen to it and try and fall asleep. So that counts as being on YouTube.
I don't struggle to sleep, so I end up waking up in the night and Good Mythical Morning is screaming in my ear.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'd say a lot of hours. You can see it on your analytics on your phone, actually, can't you?
Oh, God, I don't even want to know.
You occupy whilst I have a look at my analytics.
I wouldn't even want to know. I'll just talk quickly about... So I downloaded and started a Twitter account about 2 months ago, and that was purely because there was some people in the finance area and the investing and all of that good stuff that didn't really have a presence anywhere else but Twitter and entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And I wanted to see what they were saying, purely educational. So I followed them, and that's all I followed. I don't post anything myself on there, and just once every day or once every couple of days, I'll just go on and see what they're saying. And there's actually a really you probably heard of him if you use Twitter. There's a guy called Naval. I can't remember his surname, but he's got this really famous Twitter thread, which is basically a collection of tweets all put together. Let me just find what it's called, and it's really if you know anything about investing or you want to know anything about wealth building, here it is. It's pinned to the top of his page. You could just search for Naval, Naval, and it's how to get rich without getting lucky. And he goes through. He's a very wealthy guy, and he goes through all the tips on how to get rich without getting lucky, and it's really insightful. And it's things like that I downloaded Twitter for. But anyway,
you don't tweet, do you? Like,
no. Back to your analytics.
Okay, so I found it. So on average, it says that my YouTube app is used for 5 hours and 20 minutes a day.
That sounds about right.
Bear in mind, I leave that on and then I fall asleep. So that,
it's not all active time.
But today, just to give you some context, today it's 10:50 in the morning at the moment, and it says I've already used it for an hour today. So,
and is that your most used one, I'm guessing?
That's always my most used.
Yeah.
It's always the most used on my list. But there you go. So YouTube's definitely the most popular for me. Twitter, you've just said you use Twitter. I occasionally will scroll through Twitter, but I'm just not that interested, to be honest. So I do it probably maybe once a month.
You used to have Twitter when Twitter was in, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And now we've reversed.
Yeah. When Twitter was all the rage and everyone was on it tweeting all the time, that's when I used it, but I haven't used it for the past couple of years.
What about Facebook? Because I haven't been on Facebook. I've got a Facebook account somewhere.
You don't even know your login, do you?
But I don't know my login. I haven't been on Facebook in about 4 years, 3 years, maybe even 5.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time I've not used Facebook for. Yeah, I forgot my login, and I don't want to reset my account. And do you know what? Not using Facebook literally has not made a difference in my life whatsoever. The only thing that I do is sometimes I will use Annabelle's account, and this is really bad, top secret stuff here. I'll use Annabelle's account just to stalk someone from my past. I'll just be in the shower and I'll be like, I wonder what they're doing now. Someone I knew in primary school. And I'll quickly stalk, and then 5 minutes later I'm off of it again, and that will occur once every month. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah. I know my login. I've got the app on my phone. And I'll go on it probably... The thing is, there's a fine line. I don't use Facebook. I really don't. But the only thing I like Facebook for is memes and things. Because I always find a meme that I find funny on there. So sometimes I'll scroll through for 30 seconds and just see if there's anything that pops up immediately. Because I do love a meme. I love a meme. So, and then I get off it. I don't ever look at anyone's pages, really. I don't.
Does anyone even post on there anymore?
I don't write statuses. Some people do, and I find it quite most bizarre.
Do people still give life updates? Had a great bacon sarnie this morning. You know how
I've seen that. I've seen that happen recently. But yeah.
Okay.
So, talking of social media, let's talk about why do you use YouTube the most? Why do you think, what is it about YouTube that makes you use that the most out of all the social medias, as opposed to other ones? Because on YouTube you don't post statuses, and you don't you don't post pictures all the time and things like that, like Instagram and Facebook and things.
Yeah, I think that I use YouTube the most because I gain the most out of it. So in terms of what I gain, it's a mix of entertainment and education. Mm-hmm. And they mix nicely in YouTube for me. I'm someone that likes to absorb lots of information about lots of different topics. And YouTube is that central place that you can gain access to anything you want. I mean, you can argue that you can do the same with Google, of course, but there's something nicer, in my opinion, about having someone display that information and give you that information in an audio and a visual way.
And in their own way as well.
In their own way.
Lots
Whereas with opinions, with Google, you've got to put in the work a little bit more. You've got to find a good source. You've got to read it. You've got to absorb it. And then you've got to assimilate that into whatever you're looking to get out of that. Whereas with YouTube, they make it very, very easy. And YouTube's like a bit of a mind reader. It knows what you're after. It knows how it can keep you on the platform, which is exactly why it's so successful.
Yeah.
And
it's free.
It's free, yeah.
I know every social media is free, but like, how amazing is it that this platform,
you can learn anything.
You can learn anything. You can make friends as well. If you are a creator or you're, you've followed someone from the start of their YouTube journey or whatever, there's a little community that you can make friends. There's loads of people that have made friends and met people from across the world on YouTube, and it's just all free. I mean, I know you can pay for the premium membership, but and I just think it's amazing how there's so much it can offer you and it doesn't cost you a penny.
Yeah, and then another reason why I like YouTube is because you get an insight into other people's interests and other people's lives, which can become a little bit negative if you're comparing yourself and that triggers something in your own mind. Yeah, of course it can, but it can also be quite inspiring, and it can be a way to learn and see other people's cultures and opinions, and that's really cool. And like you said, the whole community aspect of it is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's different.
Obviously you could with Facebook do what I'm about to say, but not really. So you can very easily connect and send a message or a comment to someone that lives across the globe, and you can build up somewhat of a relationship, given you're not probably going to meet them for coffee all the time. But with Facebook, you only really had your friends. You added people that you knew, unless you added everyone, which people definitely did. But yeah, with YouTube, it's not so much about adding people as it is about saying, "Oh, great video, really like this because you told me this, this, and this." And do you know what I mean? It's quite an easy access to a community.
Unfortunately, though, there's always the side of like the hateful comments that people get, and it's such a shame because I would say the majority of comments are nice and supportive and just a nice environment to be in. But unfortunately, with every social media, there's always that other side where it's hateful, it's distasteful what people are saying, and it gets you down and it makes you feel rubbish.
Yeah, luckily with the finance channel and even the other channel, we've had a very, very small amount of hateful comments.
I mean, that might have something to do with the fact that we've not got thousands of subs. That's probably useful. Of course. And if you've got more subscribers, you're going to get more hate, of course. Yeah. But even so, we've been pretty good at dealing with that. It's not really bothered us. I wouldn't say, if you get a personal comment that's either about your appearance or about something that you've got an insecurity about that, is then... touches a nerve, doesn't it?
It does. That's more difficult to maybe overcome. But I don't really find someone telling me on my finance channel, "This is wrong, you know nothing about finance." It doesn't bother me because... that's
subjective. If often what I've found as well, if anyone leaves a comment like that, like, "You don't know what you're talking about, you're wrong, this isn't what it means," or whatever, quite a lot of the time, you've addressed what they've said in the video.
They just needed to watch further on.
They haven't listened to it. That's the problem. They've listened to the first 30 seconds and then made their mind up about the video, made their mind up about you, and they haven't... if they bothered to listen to literally the next 10 seconds of the video, you've literally stated what they've just told you don't know. Yeah. So it is silly, and it's hard to sometimes win because you can't please everyone, and that's, I think, what you need to accept. For example, when I used to post to TikTok. I occasionally post on TikTok, but at one point I was posting it 3 times a day for about a couple of months, just trying to make a go of it, see what I could do. And I got a lot of hate comments, and I think that is, I just think you have to expect that. And I had never had a social media before where I put myself in a position like that, so it was a bit of a at the start. But eventually it just was a bit funny because the things they were saying just made no sense, and it was just, you know, it was just ridiculous. So I think once you get used to it, it's okay. But I think if you're somebody that really struggles with self-confidence and you're somebody that struggles with...
It'd be quite difficult, can't it?
Yeah, I can imagine it can be very difficult.
I go for the approach of killing them with kindness.
100%. It's the best way. Kill them with kindness. What can they say?
Well, and also you don't then let their negativity draw you down. You just you fight it back with positivity. And I sometimes don't even bother replying, to be honest, and just get on with your day.
Yeah, and I think it's a shame to... I know some people like remove their comments, their negative comments, and I completely understand that as well, because if you've got this community on YouTube where you've built a load of people that are really lovely, they talk to each other, and it's a happy place, you don't want all these negative comments bringing everyone's mood down. So sometimes it is just best to either ignore them or delete them, or if they're being really horrible, report them. Rather than replying. But sometimes you just can't help yourself. Sometimes I just want to reply and kill them with kindness, and because you just want to, it's just so irritating. But but as opposed to YouTube, then what do you dislike about it? What do you dislike about YouTube?
How I can spend hours on it.
That's the same for any social media, right?
But I don't really spend hours on many social medias apart from YouTube, and I could spend way longer on YouTube than I could watching Netflix, than I could watching movies, than I could pretty much doing anything, which is really, really bad in terms of productivity. But it's kind of like a wormhole, isn't it? It just keeps going and drawing you in. Aside from that, there's always the aspect of, if you're a YouTube creator yourself, I suppose, there's always going to be an aspect of comparison, which can be dangerous. But it depends what mind frame you're in at the time, I think. Is there anything else I dislike about YouTube?
Not really.
Not really. I think that this is not really something that I gain or don't gain from it in terms of a negative or positive. But it's crazy to... Bit of a tangent here. It's crazy to me how literally anyone can make a career now on YouTube. Yeah. And hats off to people. Most of the time it's a good thing. They deserve it. They've worked hard. They've got value to give. But sometimes I do come across certain channels maybe that I just think, wow, like what a world we live in where you're earning tens of millions of people and surgeons and policemen and doctors, and they are not earning anywhere near enough. And that's just the world we live in. That's just a technology driven world.
Well, it's like the old age argument of like, should footballers earn what they earn? Yeah,
of course.
That's like the classic occupation that people jump to when they say people who earn more than they should. But now YouTubers are earning, oh my gosh, ridiculous. If like Mr. Beast, for example, I know Mr. Beast gives away a lot of his money, which is lovely. But if he didn't give away his money, he probably wouldn't be as popular. Maybe it was a bad example, but let's just say Mr. Beast had the amount of subs that he has, but he didn't give away his money. I don't even want to think about how much money he would have.
It's mad. It's really cool that that's an opportunity for people.
It is amazing. It really is.
But yeah, in terms of I don't know about a disadvantage to me. Definitely the time that I spent on it. I lose a lot of time in my day because I'm on YouTube, and I probably need to put a stop to that, to be honest. But one way I've been dealing with that is by having a watch list and not scrolling. If I have a watch list and I want to watch a video, there's one ready to go. Watch a video, turn it off. Whereas if I scroll, that's half an hour of scrolling in between finding videos.
But in a way, you use YouTube sometimes as not an audio book, but you listen to podcasts and you listen to educational podcasts.
I listen to a lot of interviews and podcasts on YouTube.
Yeah, it's not like you're watching somebody try different popcorns from all over the world or something. That's the kind of thing that I would watch. But you watch things about money, watch things about that's going to improve yourself, and things that's going to inspire you for your YouTube channels, which you love doing.
Let me look at my watch list right now and we'll just see what's
I think it's important to realise that YouTube for some people can be educational, and it can be used for a good purpose, rather than just aimlessly scrolling.
Right now, I've got a lot of interviews on here and podcasts. I've got some stuff about expanding your lifespan, and different intermittent fasting, stuff like that. A lot about different things about Tesla. I've got a lot of stuff about investing, and
there's a pattern here basically, isn't there?
Yeah, it's literally all of this about retirement and how to retire early. There's literally not one thing that doesn't fit into that category, really.
Whereas if you look through my list, it's probably... I've given up with my watch later list because I just click on my subscription list and I just watch whatever ones. But if you look through my watch later list, it's probably things like trying the world's worst rated makeup.
So that you watch it for that purpose, to provide...
For me, YouTube, what I watch, things like that, it's just to switch off. It's just to not think about anything and just...
I watch it to switch on.
You do, and I don't do that. So, yeah. I think, it obviously brings us both different things, and I think it'll be the same for a lot of people.
Do you find that there's any... What's the biggest disadvantage to you in terms of social media? I think for me, it's comparison, it's time wasted, and it's... Well, yeah, I think them two things are the biggest.
I think for me, the biggest thing is the time, because I spend a lot of time when I should be asleep on TikTok, because you just get into this... if you use TikTok, I'm sure you can relate. Like, you think, I'll scroll for 5 minutes and I'll go to sleep. And then 3 hours later, you're like...
This is why I don't have it.
Yeah, exactly. So that, for me, is the worst part. I don't tend to compare myself to people very much, so I don't think I struggle with that too much. Do you think... I've never really mentioned, like, oh, so-and-so's got this, so-and-so's got that.
Really something you do.
It's not really something I struggle with, but...
I don't compare myself on materialistic things. I don't say, oh, look at their TV. Like,
you're more of a person that compares your achievements to their achievements in their life.
I would say, yeah. Or like, if they're on a path towards something, I then wonder if I could do that. But anyway, that's the whole self-doubt thing.
Or if you should have done something different and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me it's the time. It's definitely the time, because I spend too much time scrolling on it. And it's just TikTok I spend that much time on in the evening. I don't go on Instagram in the evening.
Would you say that social media affects your mental health?
I wouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't. And I think the biggest thing that affects your mental health with social media is when you start comparing yourself to people. And as that's something I don't struggle with too much, I mean, everyone has an aspect of comparing themselves because you can't help it. But as that doesn't affect me too much, I don't think it affects my mental health too much.
I think I'm more prone to that.
I think that's more your thing.
But that's probably one reason that I don't have Facebook, because then I can't compare myself to people I know in my personal life. Yeah. That's not why I stopped using it. I literally just didn't like it and forgot my login and then never went back. I was bored stiff of seeing people telling me about them getting married and having babies, and I just didn't care, because you have people on Facebook that you don't even talk to.
You don't even know who they are. Like, no. I know people on Facebook that I don't know who they are.
Tell anything
Met them
about
at a house party like 10 years ago. I haven't got a clue.
And for that reason, I don't like Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. And I did actually do a massive purge like a few years ago. Like, I was probably 5-6 years ago. I just deleted so many people off Facebook, and people that I knew but I just haven't spoken to in about 5 years or since school.
Because it becomes a bit stalkery otherwise, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, why do you need?
Why do I need you on there? So I just delete them, and then years later I go, I wonder what they're doing now, and I look them up. I can't remember their surname because I've deleted them. So it's a bit of a nightmare, but it's first world problems.
Yeah. What was I just saying? I was on going somewhere. I don't know. But anyway, I have to, if I'm using social media, whether it be Instagram or YouTube, which are the only really ones I tend to use, Instagram especially, if I'm finding that I'm stuck in a negative mind frame when I'm scrolling, comparison, or whatever it may be, I'll try and get off of it. But other times I'll go onto it and I'll see something and I'll feel quite inspired by it, and then I'll stop looking, and then I'll go and put whatever it is I've been inspired by in action in my own life, and that can be really positive.
Yeah. Do you know what Instagram's great for?
What?
Do you know what I'm going to say?
Food.
It's great for if you're going to a cafe in a different city or a different country, or you're going to a restaurant, you need to look at you don't want to just look at their menu, you want to look at pictures of the food. And
other people have taken, not the restaurant.
Yeah. So you go onto the restaurant's page, and then you can click on that little button that shows you pictures that they've been tagged in, which means it's more authentic pictures that real people have taken, not just the restaurant like edited pictures.
That's so true. How often are we like, look at their Instagram, not their Instagram, but when we say that we mean look at Instagram, and we do that for everything.
And if we go to a coffee, because we love coffee, and if we go to a new coffee shop, the most exciting thing is how are they going to present it to us? If we don't want to go somewhere that's just going to like pour the milk on top and not try and do any art.
God, what first world problems we have.
It sounds silly, but when you really, really do enjoy something and you are willing to spend your money on it, you want it to be presented to you how you imagine it.
Yeah, we don't have many vices or small pleasures in that aspect, but coffee is our...
And we don't spend much money outside of...
No, that's probably my doing, I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's fine, but somewhere where we do spend our money is coffee.
Yeah, we like to go for a coffee like once every 2 weeks or so.
So it's somewhere, going on Instagram, that's somewhere you can get a really quick idea of whether there will be a coffee shop that you want to spend your money in. And I think that's amazing that you can do that so quickly. And when they don't have an Instagram account, you're a bit taken aback. You're a bit like,
yeah, you don't trust them.
They?
I'm just going to look at some common advantages and disadvantages of social media. And just to see if we agree or we don't agree. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, so... let's have a look. 5 disadvantages. Lacks emotional connection.
I guess it's not human interaction. You're just interacting with a keyboard.
You're not going out and speaking to someone face to face and learning. This is a problem actually. The future generations, are they going to lack communication skills?
Are they going to be able to read people's emotions just by looking at their body language?
But is that even going to matter in the way that we're going to probably live in 100 years?
In the metaverse, probably not, no.
Okay, the next one. It gives people a license to be hurtful.
Yeah.
So many people sit behind screens and just put nasty things online.
Keyboard warriors.
Decreases face-to-face communication. We've done that. Conveys inauthentic expression of feelings. Do you think people pretend what they're feeling online?
I think people dramatise things online to get response, because I know a lot of people that I used to go to school with, they just loved it. They loved causing drama or acting like there was they were really... You know, when people used to post on Facebook saying, can't believe this has happened, and then just, that's it. And then everyone used to comment like, oh my God, hun, what's the matter? Or, oh my God, DM me. What's the matter? Inbox me. And then that's just what they wanted.
And then the person that put that comment out would never share it with the post. It would always be, I'll DM you.
Yeah, I'll message you. It's like, oh my God,
do you know
why
what
don't
else
you
I
just tell them
hated?
personally?
I don't know if this was an MSN thing or a Facebook thing, but I didn't like it when it was like for a rating. And you used to like it, and then they used to go like in public, not even DM you, and they would rate you out of 10. What gives them the right to rate you out of 10?
I used to never ever partake in those things because I was too scared that somebody was going to give me like a 1 out of 10 or something. How embarrassing.
That kind of leads on to this one. So social media creates a skewed self-image.
Yeah, because the day and age of selfies and how many likes you get on a picture determines how popular you are or how self-worthy you are.
You can sit here and say it's ridiculous, but it's hard not to follow it as well.
It is, and I'm not saying it's not, but I don't feel like I've ever been one to post a picture of myself and just look at the likes all the time. Yeah. But a lot of people were like that. So, I mean, it really doesn't help your self-image. I'm not self-image. Your, what's the word? I don't know. I can't think of the word.
Like how self-critical you are.
Yeah, I just think if you don't get enough likes, you're probably sitting there a lot of the time thinking, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not, people don't like me. And that's not the case. It's just brutal out there.
I think one that I've not actually seen on this list, but I've just thought about, is that social media is a way for people to make something of themselves nowadays, like a business. Mm-hmm. At the click of a finger, you can sort of set yourself up a business and advertise it on social media that you wouldn't have been able to do, 50 years ago. And that's really cool.
Speaking of being able to like make it a career and things, when I was a teacher, you'd ask most children, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you'd expect them to say something like, oh, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a policeman, I want to be a footballer, is quite a common one. But now it's, I want to be a YouTuber, or I want to be an Instagrammer.
Does that bother you?
No, it didn't bother me, but I just couldn't believe it. How many of them said they want to be a YouTuber? Like that's it's a surefire way of making money, because it's not. Because it's hard. Yeah. And it takes a certain type of person to stick at it for the amount of time that you need to be able to make it a career.
Yeah.
It happens for people. I think it's a mixture of luck and determination. But I think a lot of kids think, well, I'll just be a YouTuber. It's all right. I don't need any qualifications. I'll just be a YouTuber.
It's what they've grown up with, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But it was kind of crazy, actually.
It's kind of eerie to think
how
that,
many
yeah.
of them.
Really.
Yeah.
I imagine it's, you can look at it from two lights. You can think, God, they've got no aspirations, or that's really smart of you.
It's
There's
smart,
a career to be
yeah.
made, and it is a great thing to do because you're providing people with value.
Mm-hmm.
So
If
I
you
guess
are
it
going to
depends.
provide value,
Yeah,
it's
of course.
definitely a great thing to
But
do.
even if you're vlogging, like that's still value to other people. Some people don't have a
Yeah.
lot of friends, and that's their way of zoning,
Yeah.
connecting with someone and making virtual friends, even if they never speak to them.
Value is different. It's subjective. Like
subjective,
value
yeah.
to me on YouTube is watching somebody just try different foods from around the world. That's not providing me with value, but it's providing me with entertainment, which to me is valuable in that moment. That's
agree.
what I need in that moment to switch off. So I think there's so many disadvantages and there's so many benefits. But I don't know if I think the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. I'm not quite sure. I really don't know. I think it's 50-50. It depends what type of person you are and how you look at it.
I think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, but I think you need to be so careful on the line that you tread with social media, and you need to put barriers in place because it can get out of hand for a lot of people really quickly.
Really quickly. And it can cause lots of mental health problems and insecurities and things. It's not good.
Yeah. I don't know if this is just me making this up, but I'm pretty sure before social media came, there was so many less like self-doubt and so much less self-doubt and self-criticism and self-hate, because you're just not, you're only interacting with your community, aren't you, in actual life rather than anyway.
We should tie this up now because it's getting over the half an hour and we don't want to bore you to death.
How about 2 questions?
Right.
1, let us know what social media platform you use the most. Perhaps it's YouTube because you're probably watching this on YouTube, but let us know. 2nd question, biggest disadvantage of social media for you?
Solid questions.
I'll bring the questions each week. Right, cool. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll be back with another episode
next Monday
in 7 days time, and we're off to London tomorrow, which is exciting, so hopefully we'll remember to fill you guys in about that when we get back. But yeah, thank you to everyone that has been so supportive on this channel and has been watching us, and even hit that subscribe button. Even though we've only got 15 people subscribed, we are very appreciative, and
always appreciative. It doesn't matter if it's a small number, it's still a number. Number that's not 0.
Cool.
All right, so we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.